Hello, welcome to the show. Today, well, we're off to a country far away. Well, maybe not that far away. It's Malaysia, and there's a little island just off the coast of Malaysia where there's a yachting race. And I went to experience what was happening behind the scenes, and I got to meet a lot of people and see some very interesting things too. I even learned a little bit about sailing too. I got to learn the ropes. That's actually where that term comes from sailing, from the olden days. Well, a few of the people I got to meet were a photographer, an Italian photographer. I also got to meet a politician too. I got to meet a very interesting German boat builder, and we'll hear more about his story. We also got to blow bubbles too. That's true, and you'll see how we do that. And I got to meet an all-girl crew. Let's go talk to the skipper. The Monsoon Cup has allowed me to speak to some great people, and Sally joins us, Sally Barco, all the way from the States. How are you, Sally?
Very well, thank you.
Now, I understand your boat in the race is operated by all women. Tell us a bit about that. Why women?
That's correct. Usually we sail against all women, and you can't have a co-ed team, so we just continued that to come and sail against the guys. So. Now,
how do you think you'll stand? Is there a difference between men and women when it comes to sailing?
Not really. I think men have had a larger opportunity to extend their skills and sail against each other, and so their level is a bit above the women right now. But now that hopefully we can get the women a little bit more involved in what the men are doing, that level should even out. But we're kind of the first push of women sailors to come into this elite level of men sailors, and it's just been a fantastic opportunity here. This event has been the inaugural push for us to get up to their level.
Now, do you see many girls now taking up sailing as a result of what you're doing and what's happening in the States?
I hope so. We get a chance to, wherever we are, meet with a bunch of young teams and really try to help them out and get them better. So, promoting young sailors and women is kind of our goal as well.
So how did you get started? How did the young Sally say, right, I want to go sailing?
Yeah, well, I grew up on a small lake in Wisconsin in the Midwest, and just raced since I was really young. My parents were really good at, giving me the opportunity to do that whenever I wanted, and I have 3 older brothers that I raced against all my life. So
did you win?
Every once in a while, yeah, but it was a challenge. So I think that was the way that I started sailing and competing and really loving the competition. So
now, for those who do know a lot about sailing, are there some conditions here that are special that you've had to adapt to? Are there any little techniques that you've picked up?
Well, the conditions out there are pretty tricky. There's a lot of current from the monsoon floods and everything, making the water move different directions. And if you can read that, as long as the light, shifty winds, it's pretty tricky, and a lot of different lead changes and opportunities to fall behind or to get ahead. So it's been a really tricky. The other tricky part is the color of the water. With the monsoon, it's kind of a browner water, and usually we're sailing in a little bit of a bluer water, and it's easier to read the wind. So it's just tricky all around.
So the color of the water can affect the way you read the wind.
Yeah, kinda. It's once you get used to it, you can still read it pretty well, but it's tricky. It's pretty hard to read it, and I think the venue is pretty hard to read as the wind doesn't really come down and hit the water as well as normal.
Sally, good luck with the race. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, all right, thanks, no problem.
How good is that, Sally? And we've got more right after the break. Hello, welcome back to the show. Gee, the skipper, Sally, sure was interesting, and we might go meet the rest of the crew too. Also, we're going to meet that German boat builder, and we've got a few other surprises on the program. If you want to find out more, have a look at the website. It's www.johnlewis.upandaway.com. Now, let's go meet the rest of the crew. So, let's meet the crew. Hey, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
Oh, I'm all right. What's your name?
Carrie Howe.
Okay, now, Carrie, what position are you on the boat, on the yacht?
I move around quite a bit, and I'm sort of the organizational person of the boat, where I help out where needed, and I help tell the boat where to go.
So,
tactics.
Okay, tactics. Yes. So how did you develop that skill? Is that something that was needed for this particular boat, or is this something that you've always been good at?
Sailing is quite a mind sport, and you have to learn where to go on a race course, and that's sort of a very key component. So for this event, it's even more tricky because it's a small venue with lots of wind changes, and so we've learned to work as a team, but one person sort of has to help out the skipper and tell her where to go.
Tell the skipper where to go. Have you always been a sailor?
I have sailed since I was 8 years old, and over the years I've become very, it's very fun. It's very fun.
And for those who recognize your accent, what town are you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan, from the Midwest. I'm a Midwestern girl, just like Sally, my skipper.
Hey, great to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
How are you, Annie?
How you doing?
Very good. Your accent doesn't seem very American. What are you doing on this crew, Annie?
No, yeah, I'm a spy. No, I'm British. I actually sail against these guys normally on the Olympic circuit for a British team, and then I sail with them for the match racing.
Now, when you joined up with them, were they surprised with the kind of knowledge that you brought back that you had of them already?
I didn't actually know them that well. It was kind of by fluke we ended up sailing together. We were moored next to each other at the England World Championships about 3 years ago, and yeah, I was swimming my boat and sort of bumped into them, and the next thing I knew I was flying to the States and sailing with them, so yeah.
Now, have you always been a sailor? Because it looks like everyone here has been sailing right from as soon as they could get on board a boat.
Yeah, I think I had my first boat when I was 7, but I actually took some time out of sailing when I was at college or university, and I rowed quite seriously for a few years, but converted back to sailing now, and I've been sailing full time for 3 years.
And how fit does it make you, Annie? How fit do you reckon you get out of sailing?
On boats like these, yesterday, pretty fit.
Hey, here's another crew member, Chafee. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Now, Chafee, I forgot to ask Annie what she did on the boat. What'd she do?
She's our trimmer. She trims our spinnaker and she trims our headsail upwind. She's basically the one that makes us go fast all day long.
Now, that sounds like a lot of muscle work. Is that hard work?
Yes, she probably has to work. Has the most physical job on the boat, so she's usually the most tired at the end of the day. But she
so
keeps going
when
fast.
she says something, you obey?
Yes, definitely.
Now, what about you? What do you do on the boat?
I pretty much back up Annie on the trim, and then I also back up our bow person, Debbie. She's up on the bow, and basically I help her hoist the kite and jibe the pole and kind of, assist where I need to, a little bit like Carrie.
Now, the kite, that's the big spinnaker, right?
Yes, the big spinnaker.
Now, how much difference does that make to the boat once you get moving? Is it like double speed? What are we looking at normally?
If you didn't fly the spinnaker, you mean? Yeah, it's probably double speed. There's no way to compete if you didn't have the spinnaker up.
I would think for sure at the end of the race your bodies would be tired, but how about your brains?
Yeah, you're pretty mentally fatigued as well. Usually you want to go to sleep by about 9 o'clock at night after a good day of racing.
Debbie is a very special member of the crew. She's the only one, well, in fact, there's only one other member of the crew, Annie, who's able to do what Debbie can do, and that's operate the camera. Hi, Annie. This is Debbie who's been looking after us. Debbie, what's your position on the boat?
I do the bow on the boat, and that entails during the start calling the time back to the line, going upwind, calling the pressure, getting the spinnaker ready to get hoisted, and then once we're going downwind, I call downwind pressure, and then put the spinnaker away, get ready to go back upwind again.
Now, this sounds like that's one of those jobs where you've got periods of less to do and then short periods of extreme pressure.
Yeah, there's the pre-start for me is a lot of pressure because you're calling a distance to the line. If you're over the line early, there's going to be a lot of people that are not happy with you. So I think that's a big pressure moment for me, and then trying to give as much information to the rest of the team to make a good decision about pressure going upwind and downwind.
How about the fact that you're an all-girl crew? What challenges and what advantages does that bring to sailing for you?
Well, definitely the advantage of having one more person because of each of us weigh less, so we're allowed to have 6 people instead of 5. So that's 2 more hands, but it's also, physically we're not as strong as the guys. So when it does get windy, it's going to be harder for us to do the boat handling maneuvers in the breeze. But when it's light, we have 2 extra hands, and we have light people that can move around the boat easier than the big guys can.
Now, if I want to get into sailing, I'm starting off right now, a person's watching TV, I think, let's get into sailing. How do we start? Where do we start? What sort of things should we look for?
I think first just, get with a couple people who want to learn how to sail and want to have fun, because I think that's one of the most important things that we've learned. If you're not having fun, it's not worth doing it. So just get with some people that want to have fun, get a good boat, and from there, you'll just take off.
Hey, Sophia's just joined us, part of the crew. Sophia, your accent comes from where?
I'm coming from Greece.
I got to say, Sophia, before we even talk about yachting, I love the coffee in Greece. Greek coffee is my favorite. If I were going there, how would I order it?
Frappé γλυκό μεγάλα. Which means
Easy for you to say.
Greek coffee, cold one with sugar and milk.
With milk?
Yes.
I've been ordering my Greek coffee without milk and sweet.
Well, you can do that too.
Now, how did you get from Greece to the States and aboard this all-girl crew?
Well, it was a quick but very nice surprise. Sally actually called me together with Annie, and at the moment when we contacted, I was in Valencia training, so it was really very nice experience to sail with a so very good crew, and it's also a very nice experience to be here and sailing against those guys, which are very, very good sailors, very experienced, and we can learn a lot.
How do the guys feel, do you know, when they lose against the girls?
Not very good, I think. But still, we are keeping them happy. I mean, we gained today our first race. It was really a very good experience, and we're hoping to do more like this one.
How about sailing back in Greece? Is this a popular sport, and do many women get involved in sailing?
Actually, sailing is getting more popular now after the Olympic Games, and is a part of what I do also with my crew in Greece. We try to promote sailing, and I think it's working a lot because it's one of the most cleanest sports with no drugs and everything. So combines a lot of physical endurance and good thinking, fast thinking. So I think it's ideal for women as well.
Now, Sophia, I understand something we love in Australia are gold medals. We love our gold medals. And I understand you know a fair bit about gold medals. Tell us about your adventure.
Well, it was quite big adventure because we were having a very good competition with my crew. We won 4 World Championships and 3 Europeans, but still before the Olympic Games I had a very serious back injury, so we had to drop out from the World Championship that year, and we didn't know either if we would compete or not. Luckily everything went well. We had a very good team supporting us. I rehabilitated 2 months in Germany, and I had the great support from my family and my country, so finally everything turned to be very good.
Talk about a remarkable comeback, Sophia. That's wonderful to think that you'd come back from an injury. So anyone at home watching right now that's maybe suffering a setback, an injury, and think, well, they can't go on anymore, what advice or encouragement do you give people to tell them that your goal is always within reach?
Well, I think that actually this injury helped me think a little bit different, because at that point I thought that sailing was everything and Olympic Games was everything, and actually I really find out that that was not the issue. So I tried to put slower motion, tried to also to keep my health, improve that, and I felt that because we were trained, we would perform if we were healthy. So, and I think that everything that happens in your life, even if it's difficult, has a reason. So if you are able to read what is happening, then you are moving on quite well.
Sophia, that's absolutely beautiful, perfect. We wish you the very best, and for the Greek people watching right now, what about in native tongue you say hello to them? I'm sure they'll enjoy it.
I would say Zito η Ελλάδα.
Zetoya Lova, is that right? Anyway, hello to all our Greek friends, and indeed all our friends from the many communities that make up Australia. After the break, we're going to learn about a very traditional way to make a boat without nails. It's true, and we're going to find out how to do that right after this. Hello, welcome back. Do you know, we've already had some correspondence. Folks asking questions, John, where are you? And I said, well, Malaysia. And they said, no, where exactly are you? All right, rather than me get a lot of details out for you, what about we get our very special guest to join us on the program and tell us exactly where we are and maybe a little bit more about this lovely place. How about this? This is a treat. We've got the minister for the whole entire area, is that right?
Yeah, for the whole state. Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about the state for a postcard view, for a tourist's point of view.
Okay. Terengganu is a state in the country of Malaysia, which has a population of 1 million people, and it's coastal state with 225 kilometers of coastal land, wide, pristine coastal beaches, and we have a few islands around us, and very large tropical green forest. The people here are still very quite traditional in our outlook. Yeah.
Now, I must admit, as soon as people said monsoon season, I was thinking what I've seen in the Hollywood movies, but it's beautiful out there.
That's a perception we want to correct. Because people think that when it's monsoon, they don't come to Malaysia, don't come to Terengganu because there will be pouring rain, big winds, But we are challenging the norms. We are changing the perception of the tourists, and also not only the tourists, but the perception of the people here.
Really?
So see, things are changing now. People are coming out in the open and enjoying the rain now. Okay, thank you very much. You can see. Okay.
You sure do meet some interesting people when you're on these journeys, and while having a look at the Monsoon Cup, we took a little journey, a side trip out to see how some of the original boats here were made, and we met a rather interesting German fellow. Christoph, how do you do?
Hello, thank you, fine.
Nice to see you, and you're like a leader in the rediscovery of these traditional boats. Tell us a bit about them.
Well, I came here first 25 years ago and was very impressed with the traditional boat building here. Built one boat which I sailed around the world.
How long did that take you?
Well, altogether 20 years. Stopping here, working there, and stayed 8 years in Hawaii, going back to Germany for work. We weren't in a hurry.
Now, Christoph, what is special about these boats to you?
The special thing about these boats is first of all the looks, for sure, and the second thing is the way they assemble them. They build them opposite to our technique. We build first the frames and then we add the planks. Now these Malays, they build first the planks, adding wooden dowels edge to edge. The planks are assembled with wooden dowels, and then when the hull is finished, they put in the frames.
With the dowels and the wood together, what about, there must still be like a tiny little crack there. Do they do any sealing?
Well, the caulking is another very peculiar way of building a boat here in Malaysia. They don't leave a groove like we do and hammer some caulking material in. They put the bark of a tree, the tea tree, they tear it in strips about 2 millimeters, and they lay it in between on the bottom plank before they hammer on the new plank, and that is a seal that lasts for the lifetime of the boat.
Now, obviously, you can vouch for that using these boats right around the world. Were there any advantages that you discovered sailing around the world using these boats?
Well, the advantage of the boats is the junk sail. The junk sail is a very easy handling sail once it's set up. It's rather difficult to set up, a lot of ropes, a lot of pulley blocks, but once it's set up, it's rather easy handling, especially if you're short-handed, because it reefs in a snap. So we have been in a starting hurricane in the Pacific, and since they are full-bodied boats, built like a lifeboat, they're very seaworthy.
Now, what about the development of the boats here? Are they still succeeding? Is the tradition carrying on?
Unfortunately, and that is why I'm building now this new project, the tradition is dying out. 25 years ago there were still 40 yards about, now there's 2 left. And I felt so sorry for this great art to be dying out that I decided to sell my old boat and build a new one, and trying to raise awareness for this heritage of the Malay nation. And we hope that we can attract more people to start and build these boats in order to prevent this art from dying out.
How difficult or how much technique do you think do the local people here need to learn how to build these boats?
Now there's 2 elderly craftsmen left that can be considered masters, and they have to make a big effort now to try to train young people in this craft.
So do you think you're going to do another trip now, another round the world journey to test out your new boat?
No, I've been around the world once. This boat is being built to be a charter boat. We try to be a charter boat in Southeast Asia, especially the beautiful islands of Malaysia, in order to make sailing on a traditional junk boat, on a traditional Malay junk popular. And if it would become popular, then we have the hope that more people build these boats in order to do the same business. because right now there's not a single traditional Malay boat chartering in Malay waters.
Well, I think a few of us now watching on TV might come here, and hopefully by the time we see this program, your boat will be finished and we can jump on board.
Anytime you like, you're most welcome, and we go sailing to the beautiful islands that are just off the coast here.
You've got a website too, what's that?
Yes, I have a website where all this story about the Terengganu boats is being talked about. The name is naga-pelangi.de for Germany.
Christoph, thank you and happy sailing.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Nice talking to you.
And now for bubble blowing, plant style.
It's a bubble game. Okay, for example here, it's a long time ago. How they do? Okay, you open a bit, you can see the rubber there, and then you blow slowly. It's a love blow. One more time. Yes, it's a fast. Anyway, you can blow 2 to 4 times. You can see the bubble. And this one also we can use for medicines. I mean, after the woman after delivery, the baby. So normally they use the leaf and the root. They boil about half an hour, and they practice every day. They have to drinks for the stomach. So your stomach will be sleep. It's a one of our purpose. Okay.
Tea. Now this is what I most love, teh tarik. Welcome to Malaysia. Have a nice day. Yum. That's a nice tea. Now let's talk to a local journalist, PK, and ask him a few questions for a change.
This is a warung, a small shop which the locals come by for breakfast, and if they decide not to cook at home, they come here for lunch. And it's a place where they meet, they converge to discuss local politics and also talk about what's happening around them.
I've got to say, this is the life. We've just seen some of the racing of the Monsoon Cup. The breeze has been, not too bad, and we've seen some interesting work, change of the top mark there to make the race just a little bit more difficult. But some of the adventures we'll be having later on, stay tuned, because we got lots for you. Right now, I'm just going to enjoy the beautiful, gentle, soft, cool breeze. So Guido, whereabouts are you from?
From Italy.
So what sort of things have you photographed in your photographic history?
Well, my speciality have always been water sports. I started off with surfing and windsurfing, so I moved on to sailing, because I am a sailor. So I moved on to sailing, and then from there on to swimming. So these are the two things I do.
With your sailing background, what can you tell us about these boats?
The boats seem to be, I'm actually amazed at how quickly they can move in these light winds.
Now, you're from Milan. Tell us about life back home.
The thing about Milan, which is great and which is probably most well known for, is the shopping, of course. And aside from that, Milan can offer a lot in the way of nightclubs, of places in which one can go and enjoy themselves.
Tell us about your camera. Can we have a look at it? That's an impressive looking camera.
It's mostly lens. It looks a lot meaner than it actually is. This is a 400, which is not a very big lens in itself. It doesn't make things a lot bigger than you would see them when with a naked eye. But it's very luminous, and that is the reason why it lets a lot of light in. So that's the reason why it's so big. And even though it's less impressive, the camera body is probably the more impressive part of the two, because it has a very high resolution picture.
Wow, what a great camera, and what a great fellow. Thanks, Guido.
No worries.
Do you know, if you'd like to be in contact with the program at any time of the day or night, well, there are several ways to do it. So have a look at this.
John loves to receive your letters and emails, so send your letter to Post Office Box 6721 East Perth 6892, or you can email. Maybe even view his website. Back to you, John.
And it's that simple. Boy, I wish there was more time because there's so much more I'd like to show you, and maybe we will another time. But right now, it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy those credits.